Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be using some plasti dip to dechrome the chrome. Let's do it. To get this chrome into a matte black look, I'm going to be using something called plasti dip. I've not used it before other than just a little bit of experimentation to make sure I know what I'm doing. But it's the first time doing a big job like this. This is a Model 3. And if that's something that you're interested in and you're not sure if you'd be able to do it, keep watching, because if I can do it, you can do it. All right, first thing first, it has been raining and I'm gonna give the car a good wipe down, make sure it's completely dry, clean it with alcohol, and make sure we've got a good starting surface. It is a little bit cold in here, so I might get an electric heater in here and warm it up a little bit. The thing with plasti dip is what you need is a good clean edge between your panels, and then when you peel away the plasti dip, it makes a nice clean cut. For the most part, I think we have that. There's a few areas which I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle yet, but such as so the side mirror, when it's open, when it's closed, exposes different areas of the chrome. So what I'm thinking is there is enough of a gap there that once a thin layer of plasti dip has been applied, I'd be able to close it, apply it to that other area, and then open it again. I'm a little bit unsure about that. It's just going to have to be try it and see. The other thing is, no, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to do the handles today. I've got vinyl wraps for those in white. So let's get started. All right, I've given the car a good wipe down and dried the areas that need to be dried. I've cleaned it with alcohol wipes. One thing to note is once you do start this process, don't open the door, because the windows do move up and down on the Tesla when you open the door. And similarly, if you don't want those side mirrors to open and close while you're doing your work, best sort that out in the app. Alright, so I figured it out. So I have found the option on the screen to stop the mirror from auto folding. So when I walk away and this car locks itself, that mirror is going to stay put until I tell it to fold. Hopefully that should be all that. But obviously when it comes to folding that mirror in, I'll need to get into the car in order to do that, and the mirror and the window will come down, so I'll make sure everything's perfect before I get to that point. First thing first, it is a cold day. When I first tried using this plasti dip, similarly I did it on a cold day and it was not a good result. What I then discovered was if you heat these cans up in a bucket of water, just warm tap water, and then use them, it gives you a much finer, much better finish, and I definitely recommend you do that. If you don't do that, what happened with me is it had this speckle effect and it just wasn't a smooth finish. So I'll take a couple of cans of these and I'll put them in warm water. Then I'll set up the car with newspaper around it, and we'll come back. Alright. So here's how it's looking. Took a while. Wasn't a fun process. I've only done one side right now, so what I'll do is I'll start the first coat, and then the 30 minutes I need to wait for that coat, I'll get started and doing the other side. For the most part, there's some clean separation between the chrome and the bodywork, so there won't be a problem when you put away. Other areas like where the rubber seal meets the window, I wasn't so sure about. So what I've done, I've taped on top of the rubber seal, and hopefully there's enough of a separation between that rubber seal and the chrome that it will make a nice cut.
So come on, let me show you
one thing is advised, the excess layer, make that nice and thick, so when you peel, you have something to grab onto. Alright, I'm just about done with the final coat on this side, and one coat left on the other side. So I'm going to start peeling this away. One thing I'd say is definitely keep your cans warm, because there was a case where I left my can in the garage, and when I came back the first spray kind of splattered everywhere. It's unfortunate. I'm going to start from the back, work my way forward, and then we'll see how we're going to deal with this side mirror. That's important to overspray a little bit when you do it and make it a thick coat, so you have something that you can pull away. So I almost wish I did this even thicker. And this final coat, I've come back to it. I left 30 minutes in between each of the other coats, but I left 20 minutes on this last one. So it's still a little bit wet, and that's what you want to do. Sorry, just in case you missed that, so what I did do is I got access to the back door, went inside, and I folded the mirrors over so that I could spray some of this area that's been missed, and hopefully that should cover that. And I'm trying to fix a mistake I made with masking tape, peeling off some of the plastic tip earlier. I hope that will fix it, because this is one big piece, there's no break in it, so if that doesn't fix it then I'm screwed, but fingers crossed, it won't be too bad. Alright guys, it is the morning after spending the entire day plasti dipping the car yesterday. Here are the final results, and I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to be honest, it didn't turn out to the level that I would want, to the point where I think I will be removing it today, which is unfortunate given all the hard work I put in yesterday, but you live and learn. I will say this though, if I had to do it again, if I went and did this again, and learning everything I know now, I think I could do a much better job, to the point where it would be a much cleaner, much more professional job. But that's the way it is. You need to do it once before you can really know where all the trouble areas are and correct yourself. But I'm not going to do it again, because the amount of time it actually took and the amount of effort it took, and time is money after all, I don't think it was worth it. Paying someone to do it £300-400 I think would be the way I would opt to go if I decide to get this done again. Having said that, if you think plasti dipping is something you want to try, I think I wouldn't talk you out of it, but you can learn from all the mistakes that I have made, and I can take you through all of those mistakes so you don't make them. So yeah, let's go through them. From a distance, the car actually looks really good. And there's no doubt in my mind that the D-chrome look is the way to go. But when you look up close, there are kind of problem areas that you'll notice. Hopefully you can see that in camera. So you might be able to see there are a few issues where the edge didn't peel very well. This was especially true for that rear window portion on both sides. And the second problem, which might not come out so well in the light, is I just didn't vary my angles enough when I was spraying, and it's a little bit thin over the top, and it's not visible from a distance side on, but when you go up close and you look down on it, you do see it. The wing mirror itself was actually okay. Closing it after doing the first coat and then doing the rest of it was actually fine, and it's probably the best area of the car because there aren't as many edges to peel. The edge essentially goes in. Another real schoolboy error that I made was at one point when I peeled back the masking tape, it went round and attached itself to part of the plasti dip that was already wet and tore it away. And I tried to repair that by going back over it after I completed the car, and you might not notice it in the camera, but you can see an uneven join. Now the edges on this glass didn't make a nice cut. Now I think part of that reason was it was just too dry by the time I peeled it, and I'll come on to how you can avoid that. The other thing is when you overspray onto the masking tape area, you really need to make it thick, so when you peel away you have a nice strong thick plasti dip that you can peel away. What's up guys, so I actually filmed this dechroming video back in February a few months ago, right before the lockdown, when things got a little bit hectic. So I've only just come to edit the video, and I've realized the next portion of the video where I actually give you some useful feedback, unfortunately I've lost the sound for it, so I'm just slipping this little clip in between so that you can actually get something useful out of this video, and give you some of that feedback that I did record initially. So to give you some tips on if you were to go ahead and dechrome the car yourself using plasti dip, just going through some of the things that I definitely recommend you do. A couple of these I've already mentioned. Heating up your plasti dip cans, not heating up but keeping them warm in a bucket of warm water, makes a big difference if the weather's cold. It makes a huge difference actually. When you try and spray with a cold spray can, you get a splattered effect, which really can spoil all your hard work. Secondly, vary your angles. So what I found was, after I'd completed my job, it looked good to the eye, but if you really went in close and really looked at it from above or below, stand over the car, you could see the plasti dip was thinning out near the top, and that also affected when you peeled away your plasti dip. It didn't make a nice cut in some of those places where it was too thin. The edge just wasn't clean, so really vary your angles. Do an extra couple of coats. I did 4 coats. I'd even go as far as do 5 or 6, but possibly, and just use those last couple of coats to really get all of those angles covered. Multiple coats on those different angles. So the next one is, I mentioned a few times in the video about overspray, and I can't emphasize that enough. Almost use more spray on that overspray. So after you've sprayed the chrome, there is that little gap between the chrome and your masking tape. Really get that nice and thick. The reason for that is when you peel it away, it really gives you something to grab hold of, and once you get hold of that and start peeling, if you follow all the other steps, the edge will be a nice cut between panels. So definitely overspray. So the next one is, and I really highly recommend this, is split up the job. So it's quite a big car, it's quite a lot to do. It will tire you out once you've prepped it and done all the spray work, and once you start cleaning up. So what I found was, by the time towards the end when I started peeling away, by the time I got around to the other side, it had dried up and that can have a big detrimental effect. So I think if you split it up, so do half side one day, half side next day, that will make a huge difference. It will allow you to focus on one side to get that perfect, and then do the other side. And so yeah, so definitely recommend that. Yeah, so the next one is so the camera housings on either side of the cars. I'd actually consider doing those with a vinyl wrap. It's probably the easiest part of the car that you could do with a vinyl wrap. It's got three sides to it. One is the actual camera side that you're not going to cover, and the other two are where you're going to be doing the plasti dip or the vinyl wrap. And what I found was there wasn't a definition between those other two sides and the side with the camera. So there wasn't really anything for it to peel away and make that nice cut. You could use a scalpel. It kind of worked if you use one that is sharp enough. Initially I tried to go in with one that wasn't sharp enough, and then I went back and got a fresh blade, and that had better results. But actually, in hindsight, if I did it with a vinyl wrap, that would have been a nicer finish. What you also find is behind that little camera housing, the plasti dip gets right behind it, and if you don't clean it up, it doesn't look as neat, and trying to clean up behind the actual housing is quite a pain. It's quite difficult. Talking about cleaning, I had some residue remover left over from an earlier debadging that I did, and I got with the set. But I think any residue remover would work, and it works great to remove the plasti dip. Any of those areas that you want to remove it, or you want to clean up afterwards, or you want to get rid of the plasti dip, that residue remover just ate it away. Once you spray it, you can see it just kind of coming apart. I definitely recommend that if you if you want to clean up afterwards, and if you want to remove the plasti dip afterwards, in either of those cases. Okay, so I'll leave it there for the tips, and I hope the video overall was useful for you. As I say, my own results weren't great, but I think I learned a lot from it. If I did it again, I know I could get it perfect. And if any of you think about doing it, and if you just take the time to understand some of those suggestions and steps that I recommended, and really take your time with it, split it up into two pieces, then I think you can do a good job. Yeah, thank you for watching.
It's all the same, but some things never change. I couldn't stop and say enough. It's all the same, but you won't take blame, even when you are blowing up. Oh my, you're my broken love. Nobody's gonna save her now. Oh my, you're my broken love. So come on, let me show you how.